Can we define Qi for the audience? Because I'm sure they've heard it, but they may not know like what it is as a
Very
concept.
simple. Very simple. I'll explain it. Okay, so the way how you're speaking about it and the way how a lot of people speak about it very simply is life energy.
Mm,
That's that bioelectric energy inside you that's keeping everything running. Yeah, that's chi, right? That's a I'm trying to remember his title. It was a kung fu brother of mine who he
yeah.
actually was a scientist. He literally said this is what chi is for us in the scientific community. That little bit of electricity running everything in your body. That's chi.
Welcome to the Academy for Adventurers podcast, where every story is a new expedition. Join us as we explore real life adventures, battles, and moments of growth from people forging their own path. Because life isn't ordinary, it's an adventure worth living. Hello and greetings, adventurers. Welcome to the Academy for Adventurers podcast. I'm your host, Mauro and today we have quite the warrior of a guest today. How are you doing, Sifu Mark?
I'm doing quite all right, Mauro. How are you doing, sir? Thanks for having me on.
I'm, oh my gosh, it's a pleasure for me. I'm thrilled that we're doing this. I'm super thrilled.
Hey man, it's I'm not used to being the guest. I'm used to being the interviewer. So
Yeah,
it's quite a different feeling. So, I'm eager to see what it's all about. Let's go.
yeah. Well, I promise you it's going to be a good time. So I'm going to go ahead and read your bio. So, Sifu Mark Wynter is a dynamic martial artist, podcast host, and instructor with 21 years of dedicated martial arts experience. Known for his magnetic energy, precise technique, which I know firsthand because I've attended several of your classes, and deep commitment to personal growth, Mark blends traditional martial arts philosophy with modern coaching and storytelling in his podcast. Through his teaching and his podcast, he inspires students and listeners to push past their limits, strengthen their character, and step confidently into who they're meant to become. His classes challenge the mind, challenge the body, sharpen the mind, and ignite the spirit, reflecting his core belief that every session and every conversation is a chance to rise higher. Sifu Mark continues to empower individuals of all ages to build discipline, courage, and resilience on and off the training floor, making him a powerful guide on the journey towards mastery. Yeah, that was a great bio, Sifu. Yeah,
Wow.
thank you for
You
that.
you kind of floored me with that one there. I was like, wow. Some of the
Yeah,
information that you had in there, that actually yeah, that literally did floor me. That's a great intro. Thank you.
you're welcome. I mean, it helps that I know you firsthand, and I've watched several of your podcast episodes, and I've attended many of your classes. So, yeah, I guess we should. Why don't we start there? Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about how we met and kind of what we've been up to?
Oh, all right. Well, Mauro just happened to walk into one of my classes. I actually teach at your in the same okay, well,
I
the,
guess
the
the
sports
yeah,
complex, the sports
yeah,
complex of the complex that you
yeah,
live at. I have a
yeah,
class there, and you walked
yeah,
in, and I guess after the class you had come to me and you told me, "Is this really Tai Chi?" And I was
yeah,
like, yes, this is Tai Chi. And like, because I had to ask you why, because you had told me that my approach to Tai Chi is a very practical one.
yeah.
And, it's not full of, oh, this is just relaxation and this is just for meditation and, this is just to bring your blood sugar down. No, no, no. Tai Chi is a lot more than that, right? Tai Chi is hardcore a martial art. That's what it was in its inception, right? And as my teacher says, even though we don't use it as a hardcore martial art way of fighting today, right? It's best to always keep that original intent because once you keep the original intent, it allows you to perform better and it also allows you to get to where you want to go, which is mostly the health aspect, right? So you have to think about it. Tai Chi was a martial art, but all the masters got all the health benefits, not because they were focusing on the health benefits, but they were focusing on the original intent, right? Now, it just so happens that in order for you to get those benefits, one has to be completely relaxed in your practice, right? Which is kind of a foreign concept when you think about fighting, right? Mostly when you think about fighting, you think about getting tense, you think about heart
Right.
rate
Punching your
rising.
shoulders. Right. Right.
Exactly. But while the Tai Chi way of fighting, it sure we're not. It's not negating the fact that your heart rate will elevate, right? You'll get those butterflies in your stomach, right? But it's trying to tell you that through your posture, you can control that. By staying in ideal posture, which is the posture that you're supposed to be in Tai Chi, and which is actually the posture you should be in all life, and you should be in ideal posture all the time. Through posture and through breathing, you can overcome your own, your own. How should I say? Being nervous. You can overcome, any uncomfortable feeling that you're having on the inside through your breathing and through your posture. You can overcome that. Right? And so Tai Chi kind of teaches you that from that level, from the inside level, right? And that definitely will transfer onto the outside. Now, the thing about it is, right, in order for it to transfer onto the outside, like I was telling you, one has to be relaxed, right? And I'm sorry to go so deep so quick,
This
right?
is what we
But
want to do.
in order to be relaxed, let's think about it. Let's think about it this way.
Let's think about it.
When people talk about an internal and an external martial art,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
People like to give all of these complicated answers, right? Like internal martial art versus external martial art. They start to incorporate values of spirituality and so on like that. No, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it physical.
Mm.
Extremities are your arms and your legs. So
Mm.
an external martial art literally means that your power is coming from the muscles of your arms and your legs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if these are the extremities, your arms and your legs, the internal part of your body is your trunk. Right here.
Mm.
Right? So an internal martial art means that the power is coming from the internal part of your body, your trunk. Right? So if power is being produced here and it needs to transfer all the way to here or all the way to your foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means you have to be completely relaxed for the power to generate from here to go and transfer all the way to here, right?
Mm.
It's like a whip, right? Think
Mm.
about it. When you
Mm.
crack a whip, right? The power source is your arm, but the output is at the end of the whip, right?
I see.
Now, if there's any kind of tenseness, right, in between the traveling of the power to the end, right, the power at the end will be severely affected.
Mm-hmm.
You won't have much power over there, right? So
Right.
that is why it is important for you to have complete relaxedness. There's a term. I'm trying to remember the term right now. Impedance, and you know what impedance is?
Yeah. It's basically. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me. What do you think?
Well, I
What
would
do you know?
say it's basically like a blockage. It stops whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Right? It's the level or the amount of signal that can go through a wire, right? And the impedance is the disruption of that signal, right? So the more impedance is the more disruption, right? Is the
Right.
less impedance is the more that can be transferred, right? So you want less. You don't want any kind of impedance, right? So you don't want any kind of tenseness in your muscles, in right in the tendons, anywhere at all, right? So you can get the maximum power out, right? So and literally, when you look at Tai Chi in its most simplest form, right? And when you look at it like that, you kind of understand why, why relaxing is of such importance. And but of course, it is also the easier said than done to relax,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes, absolutely. So there's so many directions we can go from what you just said, but I think we should start with, yeah, because you're just such a, and I really mean this, like you're such a wellspring of knowledge. And so I have always appreciated how in class you will go into detail. You'll describe, like one of the things that I appreciate the most, and I can explain a little bit more. So a lot of what we do in Tai Chi, it's based off of the animals, right? The animal styles. And what I always have appreciated is you will talk about how each animal will benefit a certain system in the body. And I always like that because it gives you bridge the gap between the philosophical, and you use the term spiritual earlier. You bridge the gap between the philosophical and the spiritual, and you bring it down to the level of science and practicality. I've always appreciated that, and I always have found those moments to be particularly useful, and also it motivates me, to do also the Tai Chi on my own time. So why don't we talk a little bit about some of the misconceptions that people have about Tai Chi? You've hinted at them, a few of them, but one of the things that I have noticed is that every single time I talk about Tai Chi to other people, they instantly have the association with, people who are elderly, they're falling apart. They don't see the practical value. They think it's like for old people only. If it's very slow, it's very boring, and I think that it's very unfortunate that people have that conception.
I mean, true, true, true. Well, okay, so let's start. We'll first start with what you had just said. Thank you very much, by the way. Um, what you're referring to is the Qigong, right? Qigong. Okay, so there are two parts of the class. The first part of the class, I do warm ups and then I do Qigong, and then I go into Tai Chi. Now, the
Yeah.
reason why I do that is because, of course, warm ups for the physical activity, and then I do Qigong as a warm up for Tai Chi, right? Because I believe that once you do a little bit of Qigong and you get yourself warm that way, that's the perfect way to warm up for Tai Chi. Um,
Mm.
Now, the particular style of Qigong that I do teach you is the Five Animal Frolics Qigong that was created by Dr. Huato over 2,600 years ago at this point. Could be more, could be slightly less. Um, but of course, it's one of the first recorded styles of Qigong. It's also a medical Qigong, which means that it not only works on one level, but it works on three different levels: the skin level, the blood level, and then the bone marrow, right inside the bone marrow. Right. So that in itself, it's extremely valuable to whoever practices it. Whether you practice it very lightly or you practice it very deeply, right? You will find benefit from it. Right. And just like you said, um, it's tied to traditional Chinese medicine. And the way how you know that is because of how it's tied to specific elements which are tied to specific organs. For example, you have the first element or the first animal would be the tiger, and the tiger represents the wood element, and the wood
Mhm.
element and the exercises for that tiger, for that animal, will benefit the biliary system, with the yin and yang organs being the liver and the gallbladder.
Mm.
Right, so it's all tied. Yeah, it is
Mm.
definitely, as you can see, it's all
Mm.
tied directly into traditional Chinese medicine. And
Mm.
unfortunately, I can't go too much into detail because I'm not a doctor, right? In which I would love to be one of my bucket list things. Right? I'd love to become a traditional Chinese medical doctor. I would,
Wow.
I would love it.
Wow.
I would love it. Um, So it goes very very deep, right? And even in that, Tai Chi can be tied into traditional Tai Chi medicine as well. But I believe that that is an endeavor for somebody who has who is very familiar with with traditional medicine, right? And who can actually make correlations between Tai Chi practice and medical practices, right? So
Yeah.
I'll leave that to experts on, right? But what I can say is, right, Tai Chi for me, uh, it's something that I've always wanted to do, right? Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
one would say all of these feats, you see somebody hit somebody really lightly and you see them fly back. You come to find out, that's all biomechanics, and a lot of people, I'll catch a lot of flack from a lot of people in the Chinese martial community, but really it is truly, it's all biomechanics. If you understand how to use your body properly, right, you can literally do things that seem incredible, right? So
How
that's it.
how
Go
do we
ahead.
channel that? Well, two questions. One,
Mhm.
why do you receive flack from other people in the martial arts community? And two, how can we channel that ability, that power to do things that appear to be incredible?
Relaxation,
Mm. That's so
relaxation.
counterintuitive. It is
Yes, it
so
is.
counterintuitive.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is. But you see, like my teacher would tell you, right? When you explain it, it sounds really simple, but to actually do it, no, right? That's why it comes with a term called kung fu, my friend. Something that is
Mm.
hard work, right? You
That's
probably
right.
know you probably know the map, right? But do you really know how to get there if you've never really gone? If you've
That's
never
right.
actually gone, do you know really how to get there? Right?
That's a
So
very good philosophical question, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just stuff. Yeah, yeah. You really have to think about it. And unfortunately,
Mm.
I guess I have a bird brain or a bird mind, right? I'm flighty. So if I do change subject on, and I'm quite sure I already have, right? Just rein me in and bring me back to our original point,
Yeah,
please.
bring you. I'll rope you back in. So
Definitely.
answer me this:
Yes.
Why do you get flack? Like, why are other people in the martial arts community giving you flack?
No, they're not giving me, but I might get flack. I mean, it's of
Okay,
course
I see.
difference of
Yeah,
opinion,
difference of
right? Of
opinion. Yeah,
course,
I see.
what's that?
Yeah,
What's that saying? Opinions are like beeholes. Everybody has one.
well, I I've been practicing martial arts for it's been over 17 years now. I started when I was 15. I'm almost 33 now. And I started in Chinese kickboxing and I started in the Shaolin system of Kung Fu. So specifically my instructor would repeatedly say it was Northern Eagle Claw. That was the system that we studied. And immediately when I took a Tai Chi class and I started practicing Qigong with you, I noticed immediately the differences. I mean, it was like a wide chasm. I mean, and I can see why people have the misconceptions of Tai Chi and Qigong as only seeing it for old people or they don't see the practicality of it. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you told me that originally Tai Chi was developed for war, was it not? It was developed for combat.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay,
Can we talk about that a little bit?
sure,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. But you did rein me back into what your original question was. Why is it that people always think of Tai Chi, or what is the misconception of Tai Chi? Well,
Yeah.
you hit it on the head. Most people think of Tai Chi as a mode of relaxation, a mode of meditation. They don't see it as a mode of fighting. Um, but that's due to ignorance. That's because they
Mm,
don't know,
they
right?
don't know. Or maybe they
that's
just see old people in the park and that's what they think, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's also, and that also stems from the way how it's taught, right? So if
I
Tai Chi
see.
is taught as just a mode of relaxation or a mode of meditation, then the students learning that are going to take it and they're going to also spread it the way how they taught it, the way how they learned it,
They received
right?
it, right?
And they're going to talk about it the way how they learned it, and they're going to spread it the way how it is. And unfortunately, right here it is more seen as, relaxation and meditation than anything else, than it is for fighting. And the reason why is because to be effective Tai Chi fighter is going to take you a very, very long time, right? Whereas to become an effective fighter in a boxing gym or in an MMA gym, that's going to take you 2 months. two
Yeah.
months, and you'll be an effective striker or grappler, or you'll be competent, right?
You'll be a competent striker, yes.
Right. You'll be able to take care of yourself, right? To defend yourself, right? After 2 months, easily, right? Whereas in Tai Chi, 2 months, you probably take you 2 months to learn the first 10 moves
Yeah.
of the Tai Chi form,
Oh
right? So
yeah.
then again, I just gave you an example of the way how it's taught, right?
Mm.
But there are some circles that treat Tai Chi purely as martial art, right? And their approach to Tai Chi is different than mine, right? Mine, I keep it okay. The way how my approach to Tai Chi is, do not forget its original intent as a martial art, right? And by using that same original intent, you can still perform Tai Chi the way how it's supposed to be performed. And by doing that, you can get to what you need to get from Tai Chi. Practice it
Yeah.
properly, and you'll get your benefit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So now, because of
Mm.
that timing, that is one of the reasons why Tai Chi can't be looked at as fighting, right? Because of how long it's going to take. How many successful fighters do you know have done Tai Chi and then gone on to be a fighter using Tai Chi techniques? No, not many,
I
because
only yeah, I don't know any
yeah,
personally. I
because they're
I
not
know
taught.
some. Yeah. Right. Now, I know some martial artists, such as myself, that will have other systems and they'll incorporate qigong exercises, they'll incorporate tai chi exercises for the benefits that we've discussed today, but they have other martial arts already. So they already have a system of competence. They're competent in another system, and that
Okay.
can help them fight. But
Oh,
exclusively
right.
Tai Chi? No, I don't know. Like personally, I
No,
don't know it. Yeah.
you're really not going to find any, unless they actually do come out. But as I'm saying, I do know of some circles that actually practice Tai Chi as strictly martial art, right? But
Mm,
I have yet to see fighters from these circles take their skills to competition. Meaning, no, I mean,
I
well,
see.
they do take themselves to Tai Chi competition, right?
The Tai Chi competitions, yes. Yeah.
But I have yet to see a Tai Chi fighter take their skills to a MMA setting or to a kickboxing setting, or to test the
Yeah.
skills against something other than Tai Chi. You know,
I'd love to
like
see that. I would love to see that, honestly,
I would love to
because
see
there's a
that.
lot of, yeah, I would love to see that. Like, I would love to see a Tai Chi master, compete in the octagon, just to, honestly, just to dispel a lot of the misconceptions that people have, like just for that purpose. Whether if he wins or loses, honestly, is of no consequence to me. But I would like to see on the world stage, I would like to see Tai Chi better represented, because I've come to love it so much, just in the time that I've trained under you, which to be honest hasn't been too long, but I've come to adore it and I've come to really appreciate it, really have.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you very much. As I said, my approach to Tai Chi, I'm not trying to create fighters. I mean, if I was
Mm.
trying to create fighters, I'd be sparring in my classes. You know,
Yeah.
of course, the to do anything, the law of specificity will
Mm.
apply. If you want to be good at fighting, fight a lot. If you want to be good at writing, write a lot. If you want to be good at cooking, cook a lot. Right? So really, if I wanted to create fighters, I'd be having fighting inside all of my classes. I'd be doing sparring in all my classes, but I'm not. Right?
But you're
Um,
not.
my whole thing, as I keep on saying, I sound like a broken record again. Right? I want people to understand that Tai Chi is martial art. Right? And once you understand the original intent, now you can go ahead and continue your practice, whether you use it for fighting or not, right? But
Yeah.
you're carrying on with that original intent. Intent is everything. Remember, it is everything, right? If you're doing something and you don't have intent, you have empty action, right? And if you have empty action, what's the point of it?
It's a big problem that we have in the West, honestly. I find that we're so busy all the time. So busy. And I find that a lot of that busyness, a good amount of it is honestly it's just busy for the sake of being busy. There's no intent. There's no yi, as you taught me. There's no yi behind it. It's just busy for busy's sake. And I find that that is honestly here in the West, here in the US in particular, it is one of the most beautiful benefits that Qigong and Tai Chi has to offer. It grounds you, it centers you, it gives you that sense of relaxation, it gives you all the health benefits, but it's also practical. And I think that's nice because man, we have to slow down. My wife came only to one class. She only came to one. And she told me, Mauro, it's too slow for me. And I said, that's exactly why you should keep doing it. Because we need to slow the flip down. We got to slow down. We're just always running at 200 miles an hour. And it's like that can't be good for you long term. There's no way it is. There's no way it is.
This is true. This is true. I think another way to say it is by doing Tai Chi. Um, it makes you present. Right? It brings you to the moment. You are present in the actual moment that you're doing things. Why?
Yeah.
Because you have to think about a million and one things at the same time. Right? I
Hmm.
have to. Okay, so my weight is on my left. Now, since my whole right side is open, is empty. Now I have to lift my right hip on my heel, bend my
Right.
knee, swing out my hip, land on my heel, and then pull my weight over there, then turn and close my this hip. It's just so many different things that you have to think of at the same time, right? And then on top of that, just the physical aspects. You're also you're thinking about trying to relax the mind at the same time. Now, all of these things all at once, that's your meditation right there.
Yeah.
Doing everything all at once and containing yourself while doing it.
Yeah.
That's your meditation,
Yeah.
right? So,
I was
uh,
yeah, I was going to say that I guess it's been only a few weeks. It's relatively recent. So I was diagnosed with adult ADHD because I was never diagnosed as a child. And one of the major benefits that I've gotten from attending your classes is that meditative aspect. And fortunately, in my case, it has never been to the level that it impacted me severely, where like I couldn't work or I couldn't have a long term relationship or I was just so wired and distracted that I couldn't do anything right. But I noticed that being present, slowing down, doing things one thing at a time, and bringing your attention to what's right in front of you, it's been a game changer for me. It's been a game changer. And so, can you can you speak a little bit about like who should take Tai Chi, who should practice Qigong, and why? Like what's your number one like selling benefit, and why should people do it, and who should do it?
Okay, I keep that. I keep take, but also take into consideration what you just said, right? I was
Mm,
about to answer you about why is it considered great for the elderly and stuff like that. Every single thing that
mm-hmm.
you just said is why it is great for the elderly, right? Great
Yeah.
exercise. It keeps you moving. It keeps you present,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Right.
everything you just said is exactly what I was about to say. Now,
Okay.
let's go over that question once again, man. This last question.
Yeah. Like why should why should people who are not old do
Hmm.
Tai Chi and Qigong? Like, why should people my age and younger, and why? Like, why should we be doing this?
First and foremost, as a younger person, you're able to do the moves fast, right? There is a benefit to as much benefit as there is to do the moves slow. There is also a
Mm,
benefit to do the moves fast. And the reason why I'm telling you this is when you're about to fight, you're not going to be moving like this.
right.
Right? You're not moving like that. Right? So this takes us into the reason why people do Tai Chi and the speeds of Tai Chi practice. Right? It's a really good thing. Okay. My teacher, right? Well, I've had four teachers throughout my life, right? In Tai Chi, and all of them they have said the same exact thing. You practice Tai Chi at a certain speed determined by what you want to get out of it, right? If you want to get extreme meditation out of Tai Chi, you are going to do Tai Chi mega slow, like exceedingly slow. This is when like a whole 108 traditional form, right? Usually, if you're doing it at a not just a like a normal like a little bit of a normal speed, not too slow, but not fast, just just right on the being fast, just normal.
Mm, mm,
It'll take you about a good 10 9 10 minutes for you to do. Right, that's everything, right? But when you're taking half an hour, 45 minutes to do that form, right? That is for meditation.
mm,
You're trying to meditate. That is exactly what you're doing, right?
mm,
That is meditation in motion.
mm.
Okay? Now, if you want to purely use Tai Chi as a mode of health, right? So you can move the body and get the blood flowing, get the chi flowing, you'll do it a little bit faster than that. Like how
I
we
see.
do it in our class,
I
right?
see.
That's the speed that we do it at for health, right? You can feel everything in the body as you're doing it, and it's not fast enough to where you can't follow it, right? It's nice and slow. As I say, you're feeling every single part of motion in your body, right? Um, but now, if you want to use it for martial art, you want to use it purely for fitness, right? You're going to do Tai Chi faster,
Fast
right?
pace. Yeah.
Yes, right. In order to use it as a mode of fighting, as I said, self-defense, you can't be slow, right? Whatever,
No.
however we do single whip, which is this, right? Single whip will now be this, right? It's
Big
just
difference.
that
Yeah.
it's just like writing when you learn to write, for example,
Right.
right? Especially like if you're transitioning from script to cursive, right?
Mm.
Which is funny because now people have transitioned from cursive back to script, which is funny. Um,
Yeah, it is.
but
Yes, it
when
is.
you're learning cursive, right? You're given these books. Well, at least this is how you know I'm getting older, man. Right? You're given these books with these lines, right? Like they have two solid
Right,
lines and then a dotted
right,
line in the
right,
middle, right? So
right,
that's supposed
right.
to teach you how to, how to border your cursive letters and stuff like that, right? Um,
Yeah,
so you're learning to write with these books with these lines, right? Now
yeah,
you've mastered the strokes, you've mastered the technique of writing the letters, of drawing the letters. So now you don't need the lines anymore. You don't need the practice lines. Now you're doing everything freehand. So that's pretty much the same, right? That's why I'm using that analogy, because now you don't have those training wheels anymore. Now you're taking it off, and now you're off to the races, right?
yeah,
So really,
yeah,
basically, that's really how you have to look at it. So answer your question: who should be doing Tai Chi?
yeah.
Everybody, everybody,
Everybody.
everybody. I think
Okay, that's
everybody
a
should be
bold
doing Tai Chi.
that's a bold claim. That's a
No,
bold
no,
claim.
no,
Now
no, no,
I
no, no.
personally, yeah, I agree with it, but it is a
I don't.
bold claim. Yeah.
Well, okay. Look at it, right? I believe everybody
Yeah.
should at least do it once to see if you like it or not. Tai Chi is not for everybody, but you know what? I have to give your wife credit because she came to one class and hey, she
She
knows
came to
whether
a
she likes
class.
it or not. Yeah,
Yeah.
so at least she knows it's not for her. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You get me?
Find though, I do get you. I find though that even if you don't like it, I mean, how many things in life do we not like and we do them anyway because we can see the benefits. Now, the I would say the conundrum, it's kind of like that chicken or the egg problem. It's like, yes, there are people that they try something once and they fall in love with it immediately. That happens. We know stories like that, right? Like love at first sight. Oh, I've been wanting to be a doctor ever since I was 3 years old. I always knew. People say that all the time. Like I always knew I was gonna like that. But the more that I live on this earth, especially working as a life and career coach, I know now that is not the majority of people and that is not the majority of interests. Most interests are obtained over time. And so I find that the same thing with the science that has come out when it comes to habits. It takes anywhere from the jury is out on this. Some people say it can happen as little as 30 days. Some people insist that it takes 90 days minimum, you know, but somewhere in that range, you make a habit, between 30 and 90. And I find that with most things, if you stick with it for 30 to 90 days, you will develop an affinity for it because that's just how our biology works. You tend to like things that you do on a regular basis. You may not love them, but you end up liking them, or at the very, very least, you tolerate it, depending on the task that we're talking about. So I find that even if you don't initially like something, you should give it some time just to see how it goes, especially if it gives you a benefit. Like I remember in the early days of my marriage, one of the biggest problems that we had was organization and tidiness. And my wife is someone who is very organized, and I'm organized, but only with things that I like. So, like for example, I like games, I like computers, I like exercise, I like martial arts. So all of my things in those categories are very well organized and very well taken care of. But a few years ago, I could have lived perfectly fine without ever making my bed. I could have lived perfectly fine with maybe washing the dishes the next day, right? It didn't have to always be done in the next 10 minutes. But now that I've gotten into the habit of being more organized with stuff in the house, I do it naturally and I don't dislike it as much as I used to. I tolerate it at the very least. And now I actually have more of an appreciation for having a tidy house, for having a clean environment. I think that's just everything really. I think people should give Tai Chi at least 3 classes. That's my opinion, you know.
true. Well,
I don't know what you
also,
think about that and what you think with your students. Yeah.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. I say just give it ample time for you to really know whether you like it or not, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, we live in in a society that it's all about instant gratification. If I don't feel
And
good
that's a
right
big
now about
problem.
it, yeah, it is a big problem, right?
It's a big
Um,
problem, Sifu. Yeah.
if I don't feel good about it right now in this one class, well, then I'm never coming back to this class,
I'm never
But
gonna come back ever again. Yeah. Yeah.
therein lies the difficulty of my business, right? Um,
You and me both.
so you definitely understand when I say this that
Yeah.
at some point we kind of have to be showmen. We have to put forth a side that is kind of performance, right? So like for example, right, my whole thing is right when you come to me as a Tai Chi, when you come to me to learn Tai Chi, I want you to be prepared to understand that I'm not teaching you the Tai Chi that you're going to go and buy a DVD on. Yeah, I'm not teaching you this superficial Tai Chi, right?
Right.
I'm when it comes to Tai Chi, I have put myself on a personal mission, right? And it's a mission that my teacher, my current teacher, has been on as well. And I don't think he puts it this way, right? But it's kind of an agenda, and what it is, it's you come to him for Tai Chi, and he's going to give you real Tai Chi. He's going to give you internal stuff from the get go, much like me.
Right.
Like in every single one of my classes, I'm telling you how to unlock the internal and put it into
Yes.
your Tai Chi form. Right? I
Yes. The
want you
secrets,
to
as you call them.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it is. I want you to
Yeah.
get value from your first class. Right? Um so it's so that's what my teacher does, and I'm actually following in his footsteps in that instance. Right?
Yeah.
So
I have seen. Yes. 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 Agree. Honestly, I personally, I took to it very quickly. And particularly when I first started, even now, still, but I had a lot of enthusiasm for it in the beginning. And I could tell that, man, if I stick with this, it's going to be good for me. It's going to be good for my mind, it's going to be good for my body, it's going to be good for my spirit. Like I really saw the benefits on all three of those fronts just from taking one class. I mean, it I have a herniation in my lumbar spine, and I have, I had knee surgery. My knee's fine. My back is fine too for the most part, as long as I take care of it and I eat well but man, Tai Chi and Qigong in particular has really helped my posture, and it really has helped keep me strong for when I do. Like I know you and I both lift weights, so when I go do my strength training, when I go do other more intense martial arts, whatever other physical activities that I'm doing, having Tai Chi as a base and Qigong in particular, it has been a game changer for me. I mean, it has helped in so many regards with all the more quote unquote fun and intense stuff. It really has. That has been a major selling point for me in and of itself. And just being calm. I mean, what a gift. What a gift to come into your class. You've got the music, you really set the tone, you set the mood, you stand in front of us. We're watching you as a mirror image. And honestly, that ends up being, I really wish, if I didn't have many other priorities, I would love to do it more than once a week if I could. But just that once a week for me has been super valuable because it's like the most calm, I would say one of the most calm moments I feel in my week. Really. And I really mean that.
thank you, thank
Like
you.
just saying that. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you can attribute that to um, really what I try to do in the class is I want you to get into yourself. I want
Mm,
you to get to yourself and focus on yourself. It's like, as I say, I don't know. I don't know if my teacher will approve of me saying this, but I, at one point, I looked at Tai Chi as a very selfish discipline.
mm,
Why? Because
Interesting.
you're concerned only about yourself. You're not concerned about what's going on outside of you. Right? It's all about you. It's all
Yeah,
about
yeah,
how relaxed you are, right? So especially when you
mm,
are when you get into higher practices. No, well, I won't say higher practice. Different practices of Tai Chi, like Qigong, like push hands, for example, right? If
uh-huh.
you don't know yourself, right, you cannot excel
Right.
good in push hands. Right? You must understand your route before you can try to manipulate somebody else's route. And I'm trying to remember. I want to sound very smart and very sage-like by
Very
saying,
elegant.
you
Very
know, but
philosophical.
yeah, by saying some quote. I forget which exact quote it was, Mauro. It's
Yeah,
it's really flying out of my head. But if
yeah.
um, he who knows himself can fight and win 1,000 battles, or he who I don't know. I
You
don't
have
know. I
said
think
that.
it's
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember it
You've said it
somewhere.
in
I
the
just
past.
can't remember it. Right,
Yeah.
but the gist of it is, right, if you don't know yourself and go into battle, you are bound to lose. But if you go into battle knowing yourself and your enemy, you are bound to win. Right? But
Mm.
the biggest thing out of that is knowing yourself. Right? Because if you don't know yourself, all bets are off, man. All bets are off. Right? You need to know yourself. You
It's
need
a
to know your
quote.
capabilities. Yes, go ahead.
You do. It's a quote from Sun Tzu, and the quote
Oh
reads
yes.
as follows. Yeah, it's probably in The Art of War, I imagine. Know thyself, know thy enemy, 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. That's probably a rough translation, I imagine, but
Yeah.
it's accurate.
It's going
Yeah.
is going to is it's exactly what I'm saying though. You have to know yourself and you have to know your enemy, yes, for you to win. Right? But the biggest thing, apart from knowing your enemy, is knowing yourself.
Yeah. And I understand your critique. What's not even a critique? I understand your comment on saying that, Tai Chi is selfish. And yes, here in the West, we are very selfish, but sometimes we're selfish with the wrong things, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
find that mindfulness, particularly practiced with movement, if you can manage it, like in Tai Chi, I think it's a good kind of selfish because that's why, like, I've done therapy, I've had a lot of coaching, and I find that investment in personal development, investment in your own well-being, self-care is worth every dime. And I find that this is an investment in yourself, and if we're going to call it selfish, then it's a good kind of selfish, because it just, I don't know, if you are more energized. I was talking about this morning with a family member. If you are more energized, if you are more focused, if you are healthier, if you eat better, those benefits do not only stay within you, they radiate to the immediate family members or the people who surround themselves by you. So they're going to get, because you're going to be treating them better. And then the ripple effect will go out into the outer rings of society, theoretically, if we are to believe the trickle down theory or something of that nature. But I find that, yes, if you do take good selfish care of yourself, assuming you're a productive member of society and you contribute, I think it's a net gain, like, bar none. Bar none.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. Um, you know,
Yeah.
when the better the spiritual and the energetic benefits of Tai Chi and Qigong are immense, right? And let me tell you how I reflect that in our class. Um, every single class, at the end of class, you notice what we do. We brush off our excess energy. Right? And the reason why this is because one of my teachers taught me that energy, right, like sicknesses and illnesses are brought about by a blockage of chi in the meridians, right? And the blockage is usually caused by a abundance or an overabundance of chi in a particular spot, right?
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
now what you have to do is, in order for you to alleviate or probably not to prevent blockages like that, is to just get rid of the excess. So if you get rid of the excess, right, you're essentially like alleviating the problem of the blockage itself. So whichever blockage you do already have, you're already helping to brush that out, right? So the brushing off of our energy at the end of the session is exactly going along the lines of exactly what you just said, Mauro. And because,
So
as I
can
said, it
we
goes off, it radiates out. You're so right. You're so right.
can we define chi for the audience? Because I'm sure they've heard it, but they may not know like what it is as a
Very
concept.
simple. Very simple. I'll explain it. Okay, so the way how you're speaking about it and the way how a lot of people speak about it very simply is life energy.
Mm.
That's that bioelectric energy inside you that's keeping everything running. Yeah, that's chi, right? That's a I'm trying to remember his title. It was a kung fu brother of mine. He
Yeah.
actually was a scientist, right? And he literally said this is what chi is for us in the scientific community. That little bit of electricity running everything in your body. That's chi, right? So then my teacher, Sifu Stephen Kwa of classical Tai Chi, right?
Mm.
He is a electrical engineer, right, by trade,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
And the way how he describes chi, and then did I ever explain to you what Jing is? Okay,
No, I don't believe so.
chi is our life force. It's that's the life force, right? That's like electricity. Say this is what FPL. FPL creates that. Creates the right? FPL creates electricity, yeah? So that's chi, right? But Jing is usable chi, meaning that that chi is now converted into a force that can be used physically, right? I can actually touch you and use the Jing in that touch, right? So that's how you use your chi through Jing, right? So you know
Interesting.
the chi that you're using in your hand to touch somebody, that's not chi now. That's called Jing.
It's Jing.
It's a different manifestation. It's the same thing, right? But just it had to move into a certain a different category in order for you to use it physically, right?
I see.
So like my current teacher, Master Hua, he will he will break it down in a muscle, right? The electrical signal that is sent to the muscle, right? That's the chi, right? But
Okay.
the electricity within the muscle that causes the muscle to contract, that's Jing.
Is Jing.
So it's still
I see.
electricity, but electricity in two different ways.
Mm.
Right? So that's how you have to look at Qi and Jing. It's the same thing, but it's just the same thing in two different ways. Right? So it's like, so you're like, okay, Mark, how does that translate to the FPL thing you just said? The power that is produced from FPL, right, is not exactly the same power that I am flipping my switch and turning that light on. Why? Because in order for it to get from FPL to here, it had to go through a bunch of different transformers to lessen
To
the
be
power,
converted.
lessen the power, lessen the power. So
Mm.
now that is that. So that's the
Huh.
result, right? So that's
Interesting.
what I mean. So like it's the same thing, but it's just different stages, right? So I mean, That's one of the things. And then again, you see, there I go, my flighty brain. I forgot what was the original
No,
point of that.
no. You
But
you answered the question. We were talking about the mind, body, spirit benefits and applications and why it's important. No, you've been on track. I wanted to I wanted to maybe give the example for people who have either taken a physics course or are familiar with physics and its concepts. It reminds me of the distinction between potential and kinetic energy, because potential energy is stored up, and then kinetic energy is that same energy but in motion. But
yeah,
what's interesting is that with the law of thermodynamics, we know that energy is neither created nor destroyed, it's just transferred. So that what came to mind. I took one class of physics. I didn't take the second one, but I took intro to physics, and I remember learning that was one of the first lessons they taught us. Was potential and kinetic energy and how the law of thermodynamics and so on and so forth. So you have a podcast,
mhm.
and can you tell us a little bit about your podcast? And
Sure,
what you
sure.
do, and how people, yeah, like tell us about your
Okay,
podcast.
just before I get into the podcasting, there's one more thing I have to tell you about chi, right? So
Okay,
we're
good,
thinking
good, good.
about chi as that bioelectric force, right? But there's that other way of
Mhm.
looking at chi, which is an incredibly simpler way of looking at it, right? Chi, the actual kanji for chi translates to air, right? So
Wow.
you can think of chi as air or breath, right?
Or breath.
So if you want to think of it as breath, chi means breath and gong means work. So when you look at it, what is it? Breath work, right?
Breath work.
If you want to look at chi as in life energy, chi meaning life energy and gong meaning work, life energy work, right? So, right, when you think about it, right, and you look at it as what it means, air or breath, right? When we do our qigong, how am I instructing you throughout the exercises? Inhale and exhale. All throughout the exercises, and all through the exercises, we're doing different things, like we're lifting the arms up and coming back down, or we're lifting like up like that and coming
Right.
back down. So it's
Yeah. Right.
all different
Right.
actions while I'm telling you inhale and exhale. So now when you look at it that way, you're like, oh, it's all different types of breathing pattern, right? Because yeah, I'm telling you the steady inhale, exhale, but I'm telling you to do that while we're doing different exercises. So there it becomes different breathing patterns.
I
And
see.
so
Mhm.
really, when you look at it in its simplest form as breath work, it is profound.
Yeah.
So that was my
Well,
that's
yeah. I'm glad you added that. And I also have something to add.
sure, sure, sure,
I'm
sure.
very interested. Yeah, I'm very interested in the origin of words and of language. I love etymology. I love the study of root words and prefixes and suffixes and language. Like I'm very interested in that as a hobby. And I always find it interesting when we talk about the concepts of inspiration, because that just means to like it inspire, right? It inspire. Oh, I feel inspired today. Well, what does that literally mean? It's like, well, that means that you're taking in energy, right? You're taking in air. You're taking in breaths. And so I love how you can see the same concept represented in different fields of science and in seemingly unrelated topics. Like, we can talk about so many different examples of chi and yi and breath, and we see the concept, and we see it in physics, we see it in biology, we see it in motivational talks, we see it in personal development. Like, it's very interesting to me how we can see one concept through many different lens, but it's kind of like all the same thing, but it's represented in different ways, and it's with a little bit of additional, like, I feel like if you get all the concepts, if that were even possible, and you would just be able to have a much better understanding of one simple concept if you see it from different angles. And I feel like that's kind of what we've shown today to the audience, particularly when it comes to like breath work. Like, I find that's very, very, very important for people to not just understand philosophically, but as you're very big on, put it into practice and actually do something with it, you know? Don't just understand the concept, like live it out. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. As I said, right? It
And
just,
yeah.
it's bringing us back to that GPS analogy I told you, man.
Yeah,
Right?
GPS.
You have a GPS on your phone, right? It has maps of everywhere, right? But just because your GPS has maps of everywhere, does it mean that you've actually physically gone? Does it really mean you know how to really
Do
go
you know how
there?
to get there? Yeah.
You know, have you gone there? That's another thing. I mean, that's the thing, bro.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. That's the thing about life. But anyway, my sir, when it comes to chi and stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Uh-huh.
I want you to just remember that, okay? That chi,
I will.
literally, you don't have to think about it as life force. Oh, it's my life force, you know. But when you look at it in a simpler word, in a simpler terms, your breath is your life force. If you don't breathe, my brother, you you're gonna be 6 feet under. You know, seriously, right? So really, you
Absolutely.
breathe. Your breath is your life,
It
right?
is.
So and you know, women, especially like mothers, can literally understand when I say this, right? And you know, you've heard me say this in class as well, right? Breath has incredible power. Breath
Mm,
can make you stronger. Breath can make you withstand pain. Breath can, you know, just by breathing, it can like increase everything in you tenfold, right? Depending on your situation, of course, and of course, adrenaline is a big factor in situations as well. But you know what I'm trying to say, you know,
do you
and
know do you know why when a baby is born, do you know why they have to cry?
tell me to breathe.
I didn't know this until my wife explained it to me, but it's very interesting. Babies have to cry because they need to fill their lungs with air. And so that's how they expand their lungs, because when they're in the womb, they're not breathing. They're not breathing, so they're not taking in air. But when they're in the world, they have to cry to fill their air with lungs. And that was so beautiful to me. It's the breath of life, Sifu. It's amazing. Isn't that amazing?
Yes,
I
it's
was I
amazing.
was blown away by that concept, by learning that. Yeah.
Yes, yes, it's incredible. It's incredible. And you know, as you say it, it makes sense. They're inside
Yeah.
the womb and it's all fluid in the lungs, so they have to
Fluid.
get the
Yeah.
fluid out and take. Oh yeah, man, yeah, man, yeah, man. That's actually powerful too, man.
Powerful. It's the breath
It
of
really true
life.
is.
Tell me about your podcast. Tell us about your podcast. Yeah. What are you doing on the podcast?
I
Yeah.
don't know if I say this, I probably affect my viewership.
Why? It'll bring it
uh,
up.
but the the birth of my podcast. I'll tell you this. Okay,
Hmm.
so I did an interview back in 2022 with a friend of mine in England, and his name is Reese Dunn. His handle is Reese the Flame. Check him out if you can on Instagram, Reese the Flame. Right? He is incredible. He's an incredible musician. He's a great dancer, and he is an incredible qigong teacher and practitioner as well. Right, so I did he invited me onto his podcast to speak about qigong and stuff like that, and so that kind of struck up a friendship, and we kept in touch through Instagram and stuff, and then he wanted to interview my teacher, and
Wow.
I hooked him up with my teacher and stuff like that, just to feel a little bit more comfortable, he asked me to be on the podcast as well. So we did it, and I kind of liked the feeling of the whole podcast, right? I really like the questions, the whole format of him asking questions and stuff like this. So I said to him, I want to try doing a podcast. Like, could you give me any pointers and stuff like that? So he gave me pointers, and he was like, go do your stuff, man. Be off to the races. I'm like, okay, no problem. So I
Wow.
started, and of course, if you look at my season one interviews, editing, the video value was absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. Not like it's much better now, but it was absolutely horrible. And really going through all of that. But before, I
Yeah.
have to give you some more background. All right.
Please
So
do.
when I so after he interviewed my teacher and stuff like that, I didn't know. I know I wanted to I wanted to start doing a podcast, but I just didn't know what to do it about.
I
Right?
see.
Like, how do I do what I do? Do I do something specific about Tai Chi? Do I do something specific about martial arts? What I do. So I think it was my wife. She had said, just ask somebody. Just talk to somebody and just ask them questions. Ask them just ask them questions all about them. Don't ask any questions about you, about anybody else. Just ask about them. So I was like, all right,
Interesting.
no problem. All right, no problem. So the first person I interviewed was my teacher. First episode, right? Well, of course, I tried to. It got a little bit off topic, shall I say, right? So I did my second interview with a guy in South Africa, Dr. Jeff Land. Right, he's a Tai Chi Wing Chun teacher over in South Africa, and everything
Wow.
stayed on topic. And it was all literally all about them, like these six
Yeah.
specific questions, like how did he start the martial arts, why did he start the martial arts, all of that. But I didn't have the specific six questions that I have now, right? But I had six questions, right, that were
Yeah.
along the same lines. And after the second episode, after the second interview, I realized to myself, this is something that I can continue to do. Right? I like it. Right? So I did my third, did my fourth, did my fifth, and I was just loving it. I was just loving it. The only thing I didn't love was the editing. Right?
Mm.
And I tell you honestly, I still don't love editing.
Yeah.
Right?
Talking
Editing is
about habits, right?
it's a thorn in my side. But it's just one of those things, right? It's like I don't like editing, but once I start it, I can't stop it,
You got to
right?
finish
So,
it. Yeah.
oh yeah. Then the little perfectionist in me comes out. But
Yep.
anyway, I'm
Yep.
getting off topic, right? So, what I realized after my sixth episode in season one was I needed to refine my questions, and um, I was having a little bit of doubts, right?
Hmm.
Because I didn't get much feedback. I wasn't having many views. No one was giving me any comments or
Yeah.
anything, right?
Yeah.
But then it was my friend, right? And, really, really, really good friend. And I'm really happy he did this for me, right? His name is Joe Keat, Seafood Joe Keat.
Chief of Drum.
He had literally called me up, and he had just watched an episode, and he had literally said to me, he was like, yo, you're a genius. I'm like, why am I a genius? What's going on? And he's like, man, once you ask a martial artist about themselves, they will never shut up.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I was like, wow. He's like, Mark, I think you found gold. I
You think?
literally think you found gold. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, no
Yeah.
problem, no problem.
Yeah.
And ever since he said that to me in that first season, I've just gotten here. I am season four.
Here you are.
Season four with the
You have
same
interviewed.
format.
You have interviewed some of the best martial artists on the planet. I mean, you had Superfoot Wallace, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I mean, Superfoot Wallace. That
Well,
was one
no,
of my
no,
favorite episodes.
no. Bill Superfoot Wallace. No, I wanted to get Bill
Oh, I thought you
Superfoot
didn't
Wallace.
get him.
No, who you're thinking about is Bam. Is Bam the Johnson, Willie the Bam Johnson.
Ah, that he was his like brother. Right, they were almost like brothers, so to speak.
Willie
Yeah,
the Bam Johnson, man.
that's
That
what
guy,
it was. Yeah, but still.
Willie the Bam Johnson. He was great. He was great stuff, man. I've interviewed quite a number of people. I interviewed Sifu Kisu Star, who
Yeah,
was
Kisu
the
Star.
who was the model for Avatar: The Last Airbender, and
Yes,
because of
yes.
him, I got a interview with Sifu Manny Rodriguez, who was the actual martial model for Toph in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Wow.
Um, it was great, and Toph was one of my favorite characters there.
Oh,
Right?
she was.
If not the my most favorite character, right? Aang,
Yeah.
obviously the antagonist. We love Aang, but
Right.
for me, Toph was it. And I remember seeing the first episode, that she was blind, but the movements that she was
Yeah.
doing, that's Haka praying mantis right there. I was like, oh my gosh, loved it. Who else have I interviewed? I don't know if you know of a guy named David Dorian Ross, very very
Yeah.
famous Tai Chi guy.
Yes.
I've interviewed him. Man, I have to say I don't have the most successful podcast, but it's definitely it's known in some places, and
It is, and
you
it's
know
interesting. It's
I'm
interesting to watch.
yeah, man. Thank you very much. I'm happy to hear you say that, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Man, I wish that Sifu Kisu Star would have been able to get you. Maybe he still can. If he could get you in touch with who did Katara, because those are all Tai Chi movements, right? The water
Yes,
bending.
yes, yes. The water bending is all Tai Chi. I'm glad you
Man,
noticed
I
that.
wish you could. Yeah, I wish you could get her. Well, you never know. Who knows? That you
Yeah,
still got
exactly.
time.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to say no because there's a lady I know of a lady who moves a lot like that, and her name is
Interesting.
Lindsay Wei. She is
Lindsay Way.
a Wudang master. She's a master of Tai Chi. She's incredible. You can look her up on Instagram, and once you see her video, you'll be like, yeah, I know what he was talking about. Yeah, she looks incredible. Like wow, it's incredible. It's just
Wow.
like watching Katara do waterbending.
Wow.
Really, it is. It is.
Interesting.
It is. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Man, so I hate to bring this to a close, I really do. But last question, as you
sure,
famously say
no
as you
problem.
also famously say on your own episodes, how can people get in touch with you?
Man, that's really hard.
Hardest question.
That's really hard. Okay, straight up. You can get the easiest way to get in touch with me is through Facebook or Instagram. Well, mostly Facebook. I'm of that older generation now. We like Facebook more than we do Instagram.
Facebook is good.
I'm
Yeah.
just joking. I'm just joking. Right? But yeah, look me up on Facebook or Instagram. It's the same name. It's Winter Tai Chi. Then you could also look me up on YouTube, right?
Your
The channel
podcast.
name, yep. The channel name is Winter Tai Chi and Qigong, or you can just look up at Winter Tai Chi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, you can find me. But just also know that my YouTube channel it's kind of vast, right? So I have Tai Chi forms, Tai Chi weapons, and then I have my podcast, right? So always go through playlists, see what you want, right?
Oh yeah, I have seen many of your videos, not just your podcast. I've seen your demonstrations of all the five animals. I've seen your forms, the standard 24, and all the rest of the forms that you do as well. So it's very good. Anyone that's interested in martial arts should definitely check it out if you want to get started. Sifu Mark does a great job of breaking things down, and Tai Chi, honestly, it is complex. It is complex. I mean, even with all the experience that I have in several different martial arts, it's been a challenge because the details, as they say, right, the devil's in the details. And
It's true.
boy, does Tai Chi have a lot of details. But I also think that's what makes it fun is because you can spend a lifetime. You could spend a lifetime doing it. What a joy it was to have you on the show. It was so great to have you on.
Hey, thank you very much, Mauro. You know the pleasure was all mine, sir.
Oh, please. Everyone, do the stuff. Like, comment, and subscribe. And please go check out Wynter Tai Chi. You won't regret it. Like, comment, and subscribe on his content as well. And everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And we'll see you next time. Remember, every step of your life is an adventure, and you are the hero of your own story. Don't you forget it. May God bless, and we'll see you next time. Thank you again, Sifu.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.